Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. It is Grant and I tonight, and it's Memorial Day, Grant. Sadly, the baseball season for the Dogs is over.
Very sad. I had my PTO for Friday all booked. We're going to Athens. We're going to East Carolina. Boom. Let's go make this happen. And then obviously what we saw losing 2 in the championship round on Sunday yesterday.
It's tough. People were skipping around the horn this week. We're getting straight into baseball. What a tease, Grant. What a tease. So we're watching the action Wednesday, Thursday. Who we're going to play. Mercer was looking pretty feisty. Western 2-Q. I mean, RIP to the Catamount season. Citadel folded. I mean, Citadel and VMI just both folded. Wofford came out. I mean, they run. Did they run roll Western in their first game against them? They run rolled somebody early. I was like, oh brother, here comes Wofford. UNCG 2-Q. So we're sitting there, we're watching it, and we see the Mercer draw. We were obviously hoping for VMI, didn't get them, and we turned the Mercer game on. Didn't go as planned for the first 7 innings, did it, Grant?
No, it was definitely a shock. Cool. We got SoCon pitch of the year throwing game 1. We're going to throw him out there. And then he gives up 3 homers, 7 earned over 8 innings. He somehow made it through 8 and was able to hold it down there. But yeah, just a shock to the system. Like, oh gosh, if our best starter's giving up 7, what kind of chance do we have for the rest of the tournament? Which kind of turned out to be a bad omen. But yeah, in the moment, it was like, oh no, but this is going to be tough.
I mean, look, here's the deal. We knew our pitching was the weak link of the team. How weak, weren't quite sure. Noah Berry had played up and down pretty well, though, when we needed him this season. Brooks Rice, hot and cold, more cold than hot usually, and then never really came back to himself. So the fact that we not only had an unclear second arm, but an unclear third arm, not what you want in tournament play, especially when you already know that it's going to be at least 2 bullpen game, or at least 1 bullpen game, if not 2. But yeah, I mean, that Mercer game was absolutely wild. That 7th inning, it reminded me of when the Astros were playing the Red Sox playoffs. Astros were down like 6-7 runs in the 8th inning, and then came back, won it, and it set the tone for the entire series. They won the series. I thought the same thing here. I was tracking with the announcers. The announcers were like, look, Samford was not playing their best baseball coming into the tournament. We know that. But it's almost like we woke up. That's how it felt. Because Ross, for how poorly he pitched in those first couple innings, was incredible until the solo homer. That didn't feel great. You're sitting there like, all right, it's 6, we can manage. And then the 7th felt insurmountable. But it didn't matter. We put up 9 in the 7th. Absolutely insane.
And that was after last Thursday in the Wofford. A couple Thursdays ago in the Wofford opener, they were down 5-1 going to the 8th, put up 9 in the 8th too. So it's kind of weird that they did that back-to-back weeks after Lucas Steele hit that grand slam over the Batter's Iron Center to give Samford a 9-7 lead. So yeah, that was pretty sick coming back from that, obviously.
Yeah, we had the Steele grand slam, Prieto. I mean, when Prieto homered, I was like, all right, honestly, we need like one more run. Mm-hmm. And what's funny, so when he homered, it was almost like a reset. Like, I still thought at that point we were in it, but Mercer had an opportunity because they had a pitching change. So Prieto hits the homer, Mercer changes the pitcher. He comes in, no bases, no one on the bases, obviously, no one out. It's like a restart to the inning. And in baseball, sometimes that's 3 quick ground outs and you're out of the inning. But we kept on piling. I mean, the bats were hot. So that was just, we got to hold on to that one because, I mean, the first Wofford game was great, but that if you're going to think back to this tournament, just think of the incredible 7th inning against Mercer.
That it was the bats that carried Samford all weekend. Obviously, the pitching giving up. We'll get into it in the Wofford championship round, but yeah, the bats weren't the problem all weekend for sure.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, so all right, we come back. We're feeling the energy. We're feeling good. We're like, hey, this is Greenville. Samford's back. Here we go. And they had thrown out, the commentators had thrown out a stat that no team had won back-to-back tournaments since either or the 2000s, like I think they said the
Yes.
90s. I never fact checked, but
Yeah, it was since 2000. No one ever since 2000s has
which
ever
is
repeated in Greenville.
an absurd stat. And
Yeah.
when we won, so we won the Mercer game, and so when we go into the Wofford game, the first one, the good one, it was almost like it's destiny. Miller Riggins, who was our hero on Saturday, absolute stud, held the mighty Wofford offense. I hate using that term, but my goodness, put it on Sunday. They deserve it. Held them to a run. We almost run ruled them, people. We were in the 7th or 8th, and we're in the 8th, and we were one run away from run ruling them on Saturday. Absolute demolition job, right?
Yep.
What happened on Sunday? How do we go, Grant? How do we go from that performance to 25 runs in one single day given up?
I don't know. We talked about this last week. We kind of got the miraculous pitching performances in 2023 with Heath Clevenger and one other guy. His name's escaping me. Went 6 innings, 3 hit ball, earned runs, and just going back to Riggins.
Will Lynch.
Will Lynch. There we go. Riggins in his career hadn't thrown over 4 and 1/3 innings in his career in an outing. He threw 6 innings of 1-run ball on Saturday.
Stuff.
So once we got that, it's like, okay, we're running it back to 2023, and I think the staff kind of felt the same way. It was like, oh, let's throw Heath Clevenger in game 1, who was the 2023 SoCon most outstanding player. Let's throw him again. Let's see if he can bring the magic back. And that was not the case, as he didn't make it out of the first.
Did not bring the magic back. And it was a little annoying listening to the Wofford announcing crew. They weren't technically, but they were. Heath Clevenger was not like a starter. He's a reliever. And the way that they kept framing this entire thing was, oh, Wofford runs the starter in the first inning. What is Samford going to do? Well, brother, if you'd watched any Samford baseball, Saturday and Sunday are stitch it together days. So if one guy doesn't make it one inning, no big deal. We have like 5 guys lined up to try to go 9. So that the being jumped on early in game 1 wasn't concerned. In fact, the nonchalant approach I took was warranted, as it turned out, because we would have won the game had we kept them at 7. But no, Grant, we had to give up 3 more runs at the end of the game. And we talked about this before. We were like, look, Samford will win this tournament if we don't have the big innings on defense. And what do we have like every single game this tournament except the one game on Saturday? Big innings.
Big innings, yeah.
The 4-run winning inning, game 1. I think it was a 3-run inning or 4-run first inning in game 2. Another 3-run inning. Here, I'll just open up the box score so I'm not just lying.
I have it pulled up. It was a 5-run 9th in the 3rd game against Wofford to cut that lead from 10-4 going in the 9th, 10-9 after we gave up those 3 runs in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, and like we can survive if they're 2 runs or less. The 3rd run's always a freaking killer because this offense is good enough for 7 to 10 a game, especially against the pitch. Like that's what kills me, Grant. That's what kills me. We pitched 0. I repeat, 0 elite starters this tournament. Now we did have to go against Cowan, I guess 2 separate times, but it was never a 6-7 run stretch. He was in there for a couple of innings, right? And he's a dog. Right, he's very good. Outside of that, we were playing Mercer, terrible pitching, worse than ours. Wofford after Cowan, terrible pitching, worse than they will. We're going to talk about it. They're going to get destroyed in Chapel Hill. My goodness. But with all that said, we still didn't have enough to not give up 25 runs.
Yeah.
If we give up 2 less runs, Grant, we win.
Yeah.
We win.
Yeah, just insane going over. Like, okay, we knew we didn't have enough pitching to get out of the loser's bracket. Obviously, had to take game 1, which we found a way to come back and do. But when you find out you don't have enough pitching to get out of the winner's bracket, that's tough because you're playing your 4th game. Wofford was on their 7th game of the weekend, so they had no one else to turn to in their arms, and they still didn't pitch that well. Obviously, Samford scoring all those runs. But as we mentioned, you're giving up 25 in one day. It doesn't matter how great your offense is. Wofford just kept piling them up. It's like, oh gosh, just like mentally you're going back in the dugout. Oh gosh, we got to put up 6 here, or else we're in trouble. Just having that on your back of your mind. Okay, we gotta attack these at bats more. We gotta maybe take some other chances that maybe we didn't have to. But yeah, it's just tough putting that on your offense when your pitching and defense gives up 25 runs and the offense has to go back. It's like, oh gosh, here we go again. We gotta play. We gotta be superhuman trying to get back into this game.
It's terrible. I'm almost grateful we did not win because I wouldn't want us to get embarrassed in the regionals. Michael Ross would win, amazing, and then we would just get smoked 2 games in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, we scored 18 runs and went 0-2 on Sunday.
That's failure from top to bottom. That is failure from a pitching strategy perspective. That's failure from a pitcher preparation perspective. That's failure from a pitcher selection perspective. That's failure from a pitching recruiting perspective. That's failure from a pitching execution perspective. That's failure from a defensive strategy perspective. That's failure from, you name it, that's failure. You cannot score 18 runs in the game of baseball and lose 2 games. I don't even know if that's ever happened.
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Someone needs to spend some time, look at the past SoCon tournament results, and tell us if somebody's ever scored 18 runs across 2 games and lost both.
Yeah, that's got to be it. That's got to be record. Just go over like the breakdown of our staff. Friday guy Ross, SoCon pitch of the year. Saturday guy was Brooks Rice, good, but he got hurt through 2 innings in this tournament. Gave up those runs in the first game in the 8th and 9th to push that lead against us. In the first Wofford game.
He is not the answer.
Or second Wofford game. Sunday guy, 12 ERAs and 14 innings, didn't pitch this weekend. Closer Carson Laura was also kind of wore down, gave up the walk-off bomb in the UNCG series that kind of cost us the regular season title, surrendered 8 runs to Wofford over the last 2 weeks. So like once you have...
Granted, 6 of those were in that one game, and he was at the end of the rope, right? Like not a lot can be laid at his feet. Continue, sorry.
Yeah. Second reliever, Turner Thompson, was basically the guy. Okay, you lose Ben Petchke last year. Thompson's kind of got to be that closer guy before Laura transferred in. He had 31 walks in 20 innings and didn't throw this weekend either.
Yeah,
so once you just go down the list of the guys you're trusting, and then we already mentioned Heath Clevenger was your second midweek starter. Rady SoCon tourney MVP, had a 10 ERA this year, started game 1 and didn't make it out of the first. So yeah,
our best pitcher this weekend. After Ross and Lohr, right, and Miller Riggins. All right, our best pitcher on Sunday, Blake Bortak. I was joking before the show that you and I could go out there and pitch better and not give up 25 runs. Well, guess what, everybody? Blake Bortak is like our utility when we need a bat. When we need an arm, we throw in Blake. Blake is just like a very good all-around baseball player who throws strikes, puts the ball in play, lets the defense work behind him. And guess what? He pitches 3 innings, gives up 1 run. Best pitcher, bar none, on Sunday.
And the day before, he had the outfield assist in the first 10-1 game to end the game against Wofford when he went to go pinch hit for Bennett.
We love Blake. Blake's a dog.
Crazy.
We need more Blakes. Forget the hot shot relief. Like, our guys, look, we gave them the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of the season. We knew they needed to take a leap forward. They didn't. They actually probably regressed, which is not good. At least Michael Ross held his own. He's a stud. But it is funny that he backed his way into his record-winning 13th win
that is funny.
After giving up 6 or 7.
Guys, I got a school record for wins. Would you pitch well in the game? Like 10 years down the road? No, I gave up 7, but my offense scored 9 in 1 inning to give me the score record.
He scored 9 right before I had to get pulled.
My guy Lucas saved me with the grand slam over the batter's eye at the deepest part of the park for me to get my career score record win. Unbelievable.
That game I'll always remember that game. I'll probably forget all 3 of the Wofford games. I guess it's justice for them because we did it to them last year.
Yeah, 3 in 1 day, then they take 2 in 1 day this year.
It's so annoying to lose to a team like them. everyone likes to say how good they are and how great of a program it is and how their style of play sets them apart. Well, guess what? It's resulted in one conference tournament win since 2007. Congratulations. If you want to play like that forever, continue. Be my guest, because it doesn't win against good teams. And Samford this year was not good enough. If we had adequate pitching, we are one game done on Sunday. That's it.
Yep.
Wofford is just another blip on the radar. All right, we had another really good 40-win season against no-name, non-con opponents, and we scored 500 ungodly runs because we bunt and steal, but we don't know how to hit homers, and we don't have very good pitching. So,
yeah, I didn't know that Wofford had only made one tournament since 2007 until they said it on the selection show this morning. I was like, really? I would have thought they would have had at least maybe 2 or 3 more.
Reason number 100 to get the freaking baseball tournament out of Greenville. The water those people down there drink makes you think Wofford is some baseball powerhouse in South Carolina, despite the fact that there are 3 programs who have all won a national title in the last 10 years. And that's Clemson.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's been longer than 10.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm not going to look that up. I could not care less about Clemson baseball.
Then this year, this year at Wofford, 8 guys hit over 300. I think they led the country in stolen bases. But yeah, they just had to line up that match. And we saw it last weekend when they came down here to Homewood. It took 2 or 3. Just the way that they were attacking Samford.
Yeah,
and we thought, 10-1. Okay, maybe they were dead. And then once we get to Sunday, obviously we know what happened.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate that we had to play them 3 times.
Yeah.
And UNCG and Wofford were the only SoCon schools to beat us in a series this season. And somehow, some way, we played Wofford times in this tournament. I mean, can someone not have stepped up and beaten them as well? I mean, yeah. UNCG, what are we doing? Grow a program. Like, get better. Beat them. If they had just beaten them, Grant, we would not have had – we had to play anybody twice. If we had to play any other team twice on Sunday, we win because our offense is just that good.
Yeah. And we didn't feel good about Wofford coming into the week. We said it last week too, like, oh no, gosh, hope we don't have to play many games against Wofford. Just how powerful their lineup was. And we ended up playing 3, holding them to 1 run the first game. All right, cool, they're fine. They're going to be dead. We're not going to see them again. Then they claw back. UNCG goes 2 in barbecue. They're out. And then Wofford finds a way to make it to the title game. It's like, oh, dang it. Now we got to play this lineup. Then obviously 25 runs and 18 innings a game.
I hate it. I cannot stand Wofford. Obviously, super biased. Let's get to what Coach David said. There's not a lot more to talk about this series. That's what's terrible about the way we lost on Sunday, is when you give up that many runs, it tarnishes a lot of the weekend. I'm not going to say the whole weekend, because Regan's performance really was amazing. Lucas Steele, Prieto, the offense was on fire. So the guys definitely showed up at the plate. So not everything is tarnished, but giving up 25 runs is just
demoralizing. Yeah.
All right, so let's hear what Coach had to say.
First off, today obviously didn't end the way you wanted, but you got to be proud of the team, the season they've had, another 36-win season. Yeah, no, as I told them, winning's hard. Winning consistently year to year is harder. So, given where we were from a pitching staff standpoint, we knew going into this weekend it was going to be tough, and we put ourselves in position by finishing second to only have to win 3, and that was the only shot we had at it this week. And what had plagued us the last month or so, really since Rice left the rotation, was the ability to find consistent starting after Ross. And Riggins was incredible this weekend, but there's only so many times you can fall behind by 4, 5, or 6 runs in the first and second inning. But I just told the guys, the fight was incredible. I mean, it's 10-4 in the ninth and 2 outs, and made it 10-9. And the thing will keep me up. Horwitz took several great swings, and he fouled that first pitch back, and he was probably a quarter of an inch away from hitting that ball 450 feet. And it's obviously a much different feeling. But couldn't be proud of the guys. I know our alumni are with the fight that they showed. I'll say it, and I'll continue to say it. It's always going to be a disappointment when a year finishes that we're not in a regional. And we were 1 swing again away from that, and that was disappointing. But there's a lot to be proud about for our university, for our alumni, and for everybody associated with these guys for the way they fought today. had 10 seniors that be their last game today in the Samford uniform. Just talk about what they meant to the program.
Yeah, and I had those guys stick around, and members of the 2020 class like Rawson State who have an opportunity to return. They moved the program forward, and doing what they did, and another 36-win season. I mean, it's hard to win that many games, what they were able to do with our pitching limitations, and we knew not having Holyfield this weekend was going to make it tougher. But they moved the program forward, and that's what their charge is as a class, and really year to year, but class to class to do that, and they did a great job of it.
Okay.
Dude, if we had Holyfield, we're in. We needed one arm.
Just one more, yeah.
To not give up 4 runs across 3 innings. You have one good stretch. One more good stretch, we win. I wouldn't be so bitter if it wasn't Wofford. I'm not going to lie. Like, if this were UNCG who just clobbered us, whatever.
They're like, they're the 1 seed. They're supposed to do this.
Yeah. Even if Mercer had done it, it's like, all right, whatever. But it's
the ETSU, they had the player of the year. It's like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, ETSU, they had a pretty good tournament. They have no pitching, but they have incredible bats. So shout out to Cisneros for winning player of the year. The coaches did not apparently look at how Caleb Cozart stacked up in conference to a lot of his other opponents, because I mean, look, the guy's an incredible baseball player, no kidding, but to win player of the year when he wasn't really leading in any statistical category, it's like, this is baseball. We measure success literally. That was a lazy pick by the coaches. That's an aside. But any other comments, Grant, on the weekend?
No, but Tony mentioned those seniors. Just want to run through them real quick.
Let's do it.
Alex Flood, graduate. Garrett Howe, Blake Bortak, shout out to Blake. Cole Fryman, Josh Rodriguez, John Anderson, backup catcher John Salvo, Andrew Bennett's a senior, Turner Thompson, and then Jake Holyfield, and then basically Michael Ross Richard Jr. He's going to get drafted. So basically, that's another senior for you. So
dang, that's sad. That because like that was that crew. That for the podcast, it's sad because that was kind of the first crew that we got to know a little bit, who came on the show a couple of times, gave us our first baseball preview. That was with Salvo, Howe, and Bortak. And then Howe came on again this year with Lucas Steele. And then obviously that was the crew that was all on that one travel team in Georgia, like the 6 or 7 guys that we signed from that class. So that's a special group.
Yeah.
Dang, dude, that's a core right there. That's a good core that, look, we know we can replace the bats. If anything, we know that. We don't have
trouble with that. Yeah.
For whatever reason, they know they can just pluck these 2 stud freshmen every year almost. Yeah. So, but shout out to those guys.
Yeah, it was Jaden Davis a couple years ago, member of freshman, ended up being the 3-hole. You got Angelo Prieto, then Jackson Harris this year. Just 2 guys who'll be in the lineup.
Yeah, Jackson Harris was fun to watch.
Yeah,
because coming into the season, we thought that, given Colin Horowitz's experience, that he was the de facto first baseman, and then boom, I think it was the first series against Queens when
Jackson started.
When Jackson started.
Oh, and Prieto had that massive weekend too. Yeah, he played first and went over to a DH mostly throughout the rest of the year. But he had a massive weekend, which I think we talked about, just like how he stacked up against other guys that came through Samford and how massive those first weekends were. But
now we just have to hold on to him. That's the key right there to sustain success. And I think we have a pretty decent shot, but we'll see. The portal never lets you sleep, Grant.
Especially baseball. Baseball is going to be insane. Just obviously the number of guys you got rolling through there. I do hope that Tony finds another Garrett, because we need to have 2 Garretts on the team. We can't just have one. So we need to have 2 Garretts. So.
Yeah, and I do want your thoughts on. So we were texting about this, but so the recent, we have not talked about this at all. But one of the big court cases going through was just settled. Y'all probably all saw this, or at least a settlement was proposed and tentatively agreed upon. Judge still has to agree to it, I think. But part of the settlement, this was with essentially the Power 5 football related, but part of the settlement was trickle down to other sports. One being baseball, where the schools are now going to be allowed to have full scholarships for the entire team. So right now, schools are limited to athletic scholarships of 11.7 to be spread across 30 some odd roster spots. Now, obviously, schools, especially the larger schools, will match a lot of academic where they can. If you're a school like Arkansas with real no academic standards, you can give everybody a full ride. Samford plays some games too, so we definitely have been funding more than 11.7 baseball scholarships to this point. But now that everyone's going to have 30 some odd scholarships, Grant, what kind of impact on recruiting do you – because I thought it was going to limit the guys we can go after, because if you can get a full ride, all else equal, you can get a full ride and go ride the pine freshman, sophomore year at Auburn versus go play at Samford. I'm probably choosing Auburn, all else equal.
I think for baseball, it kind of stay the same really for the most part. I mean, you're still going to have guys that are going to go higher than move down, like we've seen Jaden Davis, like I just mentioned last year, come to Samford as a freshman, have a massive year, going to Vandy as a sophomore. Actually, good to see him back in the SC tournament. Hadn't that bad after taking that ball to the face, was wearing a face mask. Good for him coming back. But I think should stay a little bit the same. You're going to have all those guys that, yes, oh, cool, it's going to go awesome to go play at a big school, but you find out you're a little lower on the depth chart, you're not going to play. Let's go down to a Samford type school, and then we can find our way maybe back to a big school like an SEC or an ACC. So I don't think it'll change that much for baseball specifically. I do think it'll change more for basketball and football, just what kind of contracts you can get from that once athletes become employees. But for baseball, I think it'll kind of stay the same. Samford's going to go after the guys that are kind of on the fringe, and then once they have a good year, you're not going to be able to hold on to them. They're going to move on to a bigger school. But
okay, I can see that stand. One great tool that Samford has, or one recruiting pitch that they have over a lot of schools, MLB talent we've been able to develop for how small we are. The fact that we had 3 pitchers drafted last year is crazy. Absolutely crazy. If any of our stud freshmen decide to stay all 4 years, they get drafted too, but they don't.
Yeah, and it's easier in a sport like baseball too. There's a lot of different schools. It doesn't really matter what school you come from in baseball. Scouts are going to find you, and you're going to get drafted. Just the amount of guys we've seen get drafted late from smaller schools. Yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully you're right, Grant. I'm just a little pessimistic. Football, that was the one sport. Yeah, exactly. Football was the one sport I was a little more optimistic than you guys were in our chat. We are already playing as a third tier league. So whatever comes down the chute can't be any worse than when Kennesaw State wanted to play for $1 check in a bowl game than a championship. But all right, let's get to baseball regionals. Obviously, Wofford is representing the SoCon. It got a 3 seed. Their RPI ended up in the 50s. They got a 3 seed, probably the worst 3 seed. And they are in Chapel Hill, Graham. UNC, LSU, and Long Island. Their first game is against the Tigers. Am I thankful that Samford does not have to go up against LSU? A quote down year for LSU, but LSU nonetheless.
And LSU, who just did their normal stuff in Hoover, where they basically don't lose, and
got all the way to the championship,
lost in the title game. Yeah.
I mean, they're good. Can you Tommy White is still in the lineup? Him against the Wofford pitching staff. Now they're gonna have Zach Cohen the first game.
Yeah, Cohen. Yeah.
Look, that maybe limits LSU to 5, 6, 7. Yeah. But is Wofford's crap? Are they going to be able to pull a pin? We'll see.
And don't forget, LSU won it all last year. So, well, obviously with a lot of high draft picks, but
let's also not forget, when's the last time Wofford was in the playoffs? Oh, that's right. Before the Great Recession. Put that into perspective, people. Yeah. George Bush was our president. That is what I like to hear. So they're in the Chapel Hill Regional. A lot of snubs, as always. There's a lot of hoopla around the selection committee. It's probably the most openly corrupt. They have the least restrictive procedures, and considering it's one of the biggest moneymakers for the NCAA. I mean, just right behind March Madness, it's one of their only true revenue generators, is this huge baseball tournament that culminates in the greatest baseball spectacle outside of October in Omaha, Nebraska. It's just bound to be corrupt. It's okay. Actually, I take that back. The FCS committee, when you are openly bidding for home playoff spots, that's terrible. It's terrible.
It wasn't a couple years ago where the Wofford AD was the committee chair for football, and he was wearing his Wofford tie when he did the selection show hit. I was like, dude, come on, seriously.
It's gross. Yeah, I forgot about
we
the
know
FCS.
You don't need to wear the tie.
Yeah, the FCS committee is disgusting. But the baseball committee is right there with them. So you had very deserving schools, College of Charleston pour one out, TCU pour one out. And then you had a couple losers get in there, like James Madison. Not that good. But here we are, Grant. It's college baseball. This is one of my favorite playoff events sports. We have fantastic regionals. We got some duds. But what's one of your favorites?
I think one of my favorites is College Station. You got Texas A&M hosting, playing Grambling State, but then the committee loves for storylines. So they got Texas as the 3 seed who really came on and swept, third won pretty much every Big 12 series after slow non-conference play. Then they're going to take on Louisiana, who went 40-18, RPI 39. So I think that would be my one region to go to, especially if we get a Texas A&M and Texas winners bracket game under the lights of Bluebell Park and College Station.
It's going to be awesome. Like that, even if Louisiana, so I'm thinking Louisiana beats the Horns. I don't think the Aggies ever play Texas in the regional. But the fan bases are going to show up. Yeah. A&M, it's obviously there. They have 100,000 students. So that's going to be fun. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns travel. That's going to be fun. And then obviously whatever tickets the Longhorns are able to buy, I'm sure A&M is going to try like heck to box them out. They'll be loud and proud. So that's going to be a fantastic regional. And you're right. If it sets up where Texas unfortunately beats Louisiana and we get the Saturday night showdown, sign me up.
It's the last. It'll be the last non-SEC game between the two schools ever played, if they played.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we had the last Pac-12 game ever in the Pac-12 championship game.
That's right.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Man, the liberals really do ruin everything. So the Athens regional was the most disappointing one. So Georgia's going to roll unless chaos happens. UNC Wilmington is okay. Georgia Tech is not that good. I actually saw them in person. Offense is pretty fun to watch. Don't have very good pitching. They're going to get rolled. Unless Army beats Georgia in game 1, Georgia will just sweep through that regional and there will be nothing exciting to watch. But Army always shows like they could win one. Maybe they do this year. But the one go ahead, Aaron.
UNC Wilmington has the power of the fight necklaces. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
I did not.
They brought out the old fight necklaces for the conference tournament in their colors, and they ended up winning the tournament. So hopefully the magic of the fight necklaces, of course, every baseball player 10 years ago at age 12, 13 had one.
I judged kids so hard, Grant, if they had the fight necklaces. We associated that with steroids, right? Oh, they're cheating. Yeah. They're cheating. They have the minerals behind them.
Right up there with the power balance bracelets that everybody has.
Yes. Oh, dude, we're idiots back then. All right, so the Clemson regional is what I'm most excited for. So you have Clemson hosting. They're always fun. Fantastic tournament team. You got Vanderbilt, so we got Jaden Davis back there as the 2 seed. Coastal Carolina, it's technically a down year for them, but they have won a national title in the last 10 years. So always fun to watch them. And then High Point, been seeing a little bit of buzz about High Point. So that should be a pretty entertaining regional that I'm excited to watch. On the West Coast, it's kind of tied. On the West Coast, very excited for the Santa Barbara regional, only because San Diego should be hosting as well. So you kind of have 2 hosts going at it with San Diego and UC Santa 3 seed, and then always a fan favorite, Fresno State in every sport especially when they're playing USC in football as the 4 seed. So look, if we're going West Coast, left coast, that's the regional that I'd be tuning into.
I don't know. The last time Fresno State was a 4 seed in this tournament, they ended up winning it all. So, something to think about.
I mean, we talked about this before. I'll just throw it. We'll throw in one more. I'll throw in one more. It's in the West as well. The Tucson region, Arizona, Dallas Baptist, West Virginia, Grand Canyon, stud line. I mean, we have an incredible slate of games starting Friday. It's going to be good. Any picks for the national champion, Grant?
That's a good question. I kind of want to pick Tennessee, but I mean, they were the best team a couple years ago and didn't make it out of the Supers. They lost to Notre Dame. But I think Tennessee maybe this year finds a way to get done. It would be sick if they did play Wake Forest, because Wake Forest's ace is Chase Burns, who was the closer for Tennessee last year. So that would be kind of sick first game in the Supers for Wake to go back to Tennessee with Burns. But I think Tennessee still finds a way. I think they'll come out on top.
I'm rolling with Kentucky, the Wildcats. We actually got to see them play Samford.
We did, and they lost.
That was our. I forgot if we talked about it, but that was our biggest win since Florida State. Our biggest regular season win ever. So got to go with Kentucky because look, if we're gonna hang our hat on anything this season, it's going to be beating the national champion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's go Cats. Let's go Cats. All right, let's get to the portal. So we had a new basketball signee. Grant, tell us about him.
The basketball portal is still rolling. We're going to hit June in a little bit, and Samford's still going to have a couple spots left. But they filled up a big spot and filled a need after the Australian big men went to Kansas State that we had last year. Jaden Brunell from the University of Illinois Chicago signed with Samford of the weekend. 6'9", 230, averaged 6 points a game and 2.4 boards last season. Shot 37% from 3. He'll have 2 years remaining. He only played 13 to 14 minutes a game last year. So if you just see the 6 points and 2 boards, maybe that's not a lot. But if you go watch the tape, you can see he was a 44% shooter from the field goal range. And then also, like I said, was a real good 3-point shooter, good pick and pop guy, as you can see when we watch the highlights of him. But yeah, just a really good fit for what Bucky obviously wants to do. Have another big man like Allensbach who can pick and pop and shoot the 3. He can also put it on the floor as well and kind of create his own shot. So
okay.
So for YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our highlights, him just picking and popping and shooting like that. So he does have some game to him. So it would be cool to see he and Riley kind of do a little tandem coming up this year. So yeah, there are traits to like. Just a matter of we'll see how it translates. I know he was in the hard conference, the Missouri Valley, but Illinois Chicago kind of in the lower half. Maybe play some more minutes with Samford and kind of form a tandem with Allensbach. 2 guys that can kind of do the same thing and go get down dirty in the paint and go get boards.
All I heard, Grant, was size and can shoot the 3. So
yep,
I'm good.
Yep.
Football picked up a commitment from a former Alabama walk-on running back, Jonathan Bennett. We'll see if he's good. Always good to get a Bama guy no matter what. If you make the team, you make the team. You know what I'm saying? So there's obviously some talent there. But the real news of the week, other than Jaden, is our favorite softball player, Mac Newcomb, has finally hit the portal. It almost felt like a matter of time, Grant, considering how good she was. I mean, we looked at some of the records. She was easily one of our best pitchers in softball history, in strikeouts, wins, ERA, like you name it. She's up there. Awesome person, awesome player, absolute nails when she would come in, especially in the SoCon tournament this year. Huge hit to the program. Huge hit. I mean, she's kind of one of those players that, Coach Cassio is really like she's a cornerstone player. In for your first 4 years, you need kind of that ace. And Partaine's shown flashes to be that ace, but Mac, while there were some lows, was pretty much always good. So that is a tough break. Hopefully she goes somewhere fun, Grant, like Auburn or Alabama. And I mean, I don't really want to cheer for her if she's at Alabama, but it would be fun to watch her on a national stage like that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it when the season ended a couple weeks ago. To see the amount of young players coming back, amount of juniors are going to be seniors. She was going to be one of those, I want to say 7 to 9 rising seniors. Then once you throw in Katie Campbell, the freshman, who's going to be a sophomore, she broke Samford's RBI record. So you have her in the mix too. It's a young team. It's got a lot of promise and kind of maybe a make or break it year for the staff. See if they can find a way to get to the tournament, because if they don't have a lot of success this past year with everything coming back, there might be some questions that need to be answered regarding the program. But
yeah, it's tough because a piece like Mac going into next season, that sets you up for probably being the front runner, but is really that just rock solid piece that propels any team. Because when you have someone like that on the mound, your offense can have a down night and you can still win. But this offense is going to be pretty geared up to go, and it could have really a special season, and it still may be. A lot of those girls are coming back, but it does suck to lose a player like Mac.
Yeah, and the portal giveth and takes away. Obviously, you can go field needs that you're obviously going to need with the portal. So it's just obviously would love having somebody with continuity with the staff and with the team coming back, but there's obviously a lot of players out there that you can replace her with. So
yeah, tough blow. Wish her well and excited to see where she lands. Let's answer 2 of the people's questions. So Colin, a few. One of them seemed relevant. He missed the deadline, so to speak, last week, but we kept one. Grant, going to toss this one over to you. Most valuable, it's a good one. Most valuable assistant men's basketball coach right now. And I guess we should define what value is. I took it as recruiter. Grant, what do you think?
If you'll say recruiter, I'll go developer of talent. Like we've seen this staff over the last few years find a way to get that done. Obviously, you go through the list of guys that have approved under the staff: Jermaine, Quez, Chor, stuff like that. So that is a good question. I hadn't really thought about it, considering I did first lean toward Mitch Cole. He's got that relationship with Bucky, obviously, back to the Birmingham Southern days with Coach Riebel. If you want to go maybe developer, Chor mentioned him, working a lot with him, improving his game last year. I think also Neb Exantis is kind of where I want to go. Another guy who's a young guy. He started as a GA at Samford in 2020 in the COVID year, then got promoted to an assistant coach. He's obviously the youngest guy on the staff. So it's just, I think him combined with that ability to train and work out with athletes. His Samford bio said he's worked with Anthony Simons, who was the first round pick in the NBA draft. So he's got some training background. And when we talked to players last year, he was a big reason why they improved. So I think if you want to go towards the development side, I think Neb would be one.
Yeah.
The most valuable to look to, depending on what your definition, as you said, of valuable is for you.
I mean, that's the problem, is when you're assembling a staff, you're trying to find like an elite person at one of these things.
Yeah.
So like Mitch Cole definitely seems like the strategist. If we're going for most valuable in terms of game plan, X's and O's, seems like Cole would be the answer. I was thinking Neb. You see him a lot on social media. He seems to be pretty active in that sense, and you would assume that he is a pretty good recruiter.
Yeah,
because that's usually what you stick the young guns out there. They're hitting the road. But it kind of depends on your definition.
Yeah. But the Neb's done a lot of the southeastern recruiting too. He worked in Florida at West Oaks Academy, where Samford's grabbed a couple guys and looked at a couple guys for the staff. So he's obviously working a popular region where Samford has found a lot of its big talent. So
yeah, if there's an assistant who is in charge of the NIL, that's probably the most valuable assistant at the moment. Not sure if there is one, but if there is, that's probably that. Actually, I take all of what I just said back. Forget development, forget X's and O's. It's all about NIL, baby. That's who would be the most valuable.
I don't think the main assistant can get involved in that. So there's got somebody on staff, whoever that may be. Yeah, well, that is true. Like, who cares who does what, obviously, but
there's got to be somebody behind the scenes. Sure,
yeah.
technically. Sure.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah. but who cares about technicalities? Question from Buxley the Bulldog. Is Rylan Jones coming back? Grant, I'll throw this one to you too.
Thanks. Thanks for this. I'm looking around. There's nobody else here. No. I mean, it's possible. It's been rumored that obviously they're looking for a waiver for his 6 years. Just a matter of, one, can you get it? Two, does he want to come back and keep playing college basketball? Or does he want to move on, do something else, maybe, and move on and try other things? But it is possible if you go through his career. He only played 13 games last year at Utah State because of a concussion issue. His sophomore year at Utah, he only played in 17 games because of another injury. So if you combine those two, basically he has missed a full year of eligibility. So that's kind of where you put the waiver process. Okay, he really hasn't played all 5 years because of the COVID year. Really hasn't played all 5 years and being able to maximize his eligibility. So I think that would be the case. It's certainly possible for him to come back. It's just a matter of how long the NCAA takes with that process and when we find out. And then once you get, okay, cool, the waiver's approved, then you go to him like, hey, is this something you want to come back to? And especially with a lot of the guys that were on last year's team, obviously they're not here anymore thanks to graduation and portal. So those are two things to look for. He definitely could come back, which obviously would be a massive boost and be the best recruit Samford would have picked up, because the best gets are the ones you already have. So
Yep. Yeah, so hopefully, yes, Buxley. We do have an update that none of the track guys were able to make it to the national championship round, which is tough. But we'll be back next week. We'll have a few episodes strewn about the summer. Otherwise, we will be kicking off our interviews, and we've gotten some good ones so far. I think you all are going to enjoy them. Been some different perspectives. So that's been a lot of fun. And we'll catch y'all. Go ahead, Grant.
One more thing with Rylan, he posted a cool clip of he and Bill Walton. Bill Walton passed away at the age 71. Just him talking with Rylan a game of Utah. If you want to go find Rylan's Twitter, but the last tweet he put out was a cool video they went to go find of him and Bill Walton. So
yeah, that is a cool video. But that's a good note to end on, Grant. With that, the state of the Bulldogs is out. We will catch y'all next week.